Welcome back to the Daily Draft. We are about to enter round one. We're on the play. Our opponent probably can't win now. Ugh. We're gonna mulligan this hand. We can do so much better. Yeah, this is so much better. Keep. And we get to scry? Gosh, this is busted. Sanctum of Ugin. Do we want this? Sure, we'll keep it. Our opponent also mulligans, though, so it's like we're down a card, but so are they, and they're on the draw, so it's like better for them. But we kept the Sanctum of Ugin. It doesn't produce colored mana, but we do want to cast Benthic Infiltrator on 3, so it's a pretty reasonable keep, in my opinion. I wonder if my opponent is actually French. Like, I wouldn't be surprised either way, actually. People on the internet are kind of weird, like, just in general. Like, case in point, but still. Ooh, turn 2 Evolving Wilds. I like that start with McKindy Slider. Trigger! Always yield. Maybe he'll Lithomancer's focus my McKindy Slide Runner. He is holding up 1 white mana. His aggro start though. Alright, so my opponent is 3 colors. They are likely going to play a Tajuru Stalwart this turn, which is fine, especially if we draw a land for Slabhammer. I like playing Slabhammer when you have 4 mana because Snapping Gnarlid. Creature is Vanillicus. I like playing Slabhammer when you have 4 mana because then you can immediately pick up you can play equip and pick up a land that's tapped that you used to equip it, and then the next turn you can play that land and then bounce it again. You want to, with Slabhammer, you really want to be playing your land pre-combat to get like the max value out of it with landfall triggers and stuff. Alright, my opponent is worried about my Benthic Infiltrator, which is fair considering unless I drew very well there, I was unlikely to be able to play and equip Slabhammer, which, you know, I wasn't. I think I want to keep my McKindy Slide Runner around. I'm not really worried about the Snapping Gnarlid, so we're just gonna play the Nettle Drone and pass the turn. We're not gonna attack with Slide Runner. Because, like, the trample is super relevant when you're talking about Slabhammer. And that's still, like, the goal. Alright, I will take 3. Drawing an Evolving Wilds would be pretty good here, but also a little awkward, depending on what my opponent plays. Courier Griffin. Well, what a jerk. Vile Agriate. Well, I guess I play that. That's a pretty good card. That's a huge threat. Like, you thought Benthic Infiltrator was a threat. I don't even, like, do that much with exiled cards, friend. Also, fun little interaction, Slabhammer triggers Nettle Drone. I'll block. glad I kept that Sanctum of Ugin, because, like, if I had gotten greedy and bottomed it, I would just be having no fun right now. I think I block with a Vile Aggregate. Like, if my opponent has a Gideon's Reproach, that's kind of unfortunate, but that's their turn. Or not their turn, but that's, like, a premium removal spell when they have 3 cards in hand. What else could you be doing? Territorial Baloth. Sure. Alright, so I have Outnumber now. I'm not going to use it yet. Because, like, again, there's not a huge point when I have things to play. I'm not going to attack with Vile Aggregate. McKinney Slide, no, we're not going to jump block. We'll take 6 from the Territorial Baloth. Like, I could pretty easily see doing that. And we'll block the Snapping Gnarlade if necessary. We're taking 8 here. That's not great, but it's kind of what we need to do. Like, we can't chump block, because if my opponent... If I do that, I don't have enough creatures next turn to kill the Territorial Baloth. Although, that's not like does not look like a great option right now, from where I am standing. Alright, Exert Influence is going to be fantastic once we draw a couple more lands. This is pretty frustrating. It's kind of gotten to the point where I just kind of need to suck it up and start blocking on the ground. And just like put a bunch of creatures in front of the Territorial Baloth or whatever. I'm actually going to do this now because I don't want to get blown out by anything. If my opponent has like a Nissa's Renewal, I'm going to cry. Probably. There's a good chance it will be Tears. Alright, so no Nissa's Renewal. Sweet. Opponent is attacking with everything though. So let's see. Swell of Growth is kind of a blowout here, but that puts it at 8. I can't block that. So I put the Nettle Drone here and this guy here, and cross our fingers. Although if my opponent has a Swell of Growth, it's a pretty big blowout regardless. So I probably should have just put everything in front of, not everything, but a lot of things in front of the Territorial Baloth. Undo Great Horn. Okay. Alright, sweet. Just need to draw one more land and we can exert influence on this stupid Griffin. Yeah, I think we should have like just put everything in front of the Baloth. So my opponent had one card, no, 2 cards in hand last combat too, so let's go like that. See what happens. If we draw an Evolving Wilds, I'll be like an incredibly sad panda. is the most sad. I'm assuming that I survive this turn. Swell of growth, alright. Yeah, they had the land too, so. That was a bit of a blowout. Alright, so if you don't draw lands for 7 turns, you lose. Fun fact. Do I really want anything? I don't think so. I want lands. Should we just side in more lands? Yeah, gosh. The very real chance that we just never drew a land after that Sanctum of Ugin is another good reason to, like, leave it on top. So, yeah, we're gonna keep this. We've got a Benthic Infiltrator into a Blight Herder, which seems really good. We're gonna reveal our super secret tech right now. It's not gonna change what my opponent does. At all. I just want to F8. Like, they're not gonna play differently because I have a plains. They're still gonna play Scythe Leopard on turn 1 and we're just gonna cry. So if they attack with their Snapping Gnarlid this turn, I'm not going to block it with Benthic Infiltrator. We did see Swell of Growth from our opponent last game, and Benthic Infiltrator is way too important to the cast Blight Herder game plan to, like, throw it under a Snapping Gnarlid. It's 3 damage. Oh, no, we're definitely blocking. Why did you do that first main? Like, seems real bad. And, like, kind of awkward, we're taking 6, and we're only dealing 1. But Blight Herder is 7 power and 8 toughness for 5 mana, which makes me think that it's a good recovery plan. Also, it allows us to cast Breaker of Armies, which is pretty great. Retreat to Kazandu. Oh, good. Guess we're never outnumbering anything. No blocks. Girl, what's your name? Ooh. Vile Aggregate. That's a good one. It's a good draw. Solid. Fairly masculine, even. Ingestia. What have I been ingesting? Forests? Oh, good. I'm sure my opponent appreciates it. Blight Herder. Yes. These 2. 3 whole Scions. Scion? Psy-off. Scion? Psy-off. I'm just gonna F6. What happened to me? Alright, Blight Herder. Please prove to me that you're better than Touch of the Void. Like, ASAP. Smite. Sure. I'll take 6. That's fine. Right, well, I can block and have enough to outnumber the Tajuru Stalwart. Nope. Next turn, so I think we just do that. We don't really have any other, like, things we like to ingest, or that we are interested in, like, processing. So I think if my opponent plays a land, it goes up to a 5/5. We keep back the Benthic Infiltrator. And just, like, gang block the Snapping Gnarlid if we have to. Alright, you have a flyer, friend. Ooh, Slab Hammer. Well, so I have 7, 8, 9 mana. Cool. We're gonna attack with this Vile Aggregate. We do want to get in damage at some point. Man, we can Breaker of Armies, equip Slab Hammer next turn. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have another Smite the Monstrous. Please. I like how we keep ingesting lands, though. It's probably pretty good for me. Baby girl, what's your name? Knows about the monsters, knows about the monsters, knows about the monsters. Or Clutch of Currents. Clutch of Currents would also be pretty bad. Okay. Alright. Probably just doing it to Courier Griffin? No? Yeah. We're on a pretty tight clock. Yep. Alright, I was considering casting Slab Hammer, but instead what I'm going to do is attack with everything. Kill your Snapping Gnarlid. At no cost to myself. And gain a crap ton of life. Alright, cool. Cool. I think we block the Courier Griffin. Probably. It kind of depends on what my opponent does. They didn't have a land in hand last time I checked. And by last time I checked, I mean they would have played one by now. They ended up using Natural Connections like pretty aggressively to get in some extra damage. We might pull out the old W for this one though. It's starting to not feel hopeless. Let's put it that way. Like on board, assuming they have a blocker for Breaker of Armies, they're looking at taking 6 damage plus 2 from the Slab Hammer, so not enough, unfortunately. They're kind of in an awkward position, though, where they need to attack with Courier Griffin or they lose all of that pressure. So if my opponent attacks here, I don't actually block because I think I just win next turn. And we have enough mana to play Nettle Drone too. Yeah. Does my opponent have enough, like, stuff to qualify for Gruesome Slaughter? I don't think so. Yeah, we'll keep this hand. This hand's pretty sweet. And our opponent's on the mulligan, on the play. Fantastic. Not that it matters, like, over much. Now the big question is, do you play Nettle Drone first? Benthic Infiltrator. Probably just Nettle Drone, right? Well, they did not have a turn 2 Snapping Gnarlid, and we have a turn 2 McKindy Slide Runner, which is just peachy. And we have nearly enough mana for Royal Spout kicked, too. Pass. Nope. Tajuru Stalwart. Oh, we're definitely attacking into that one, friend. Alright, now we do have enough mana for Royal Spout kicked. Not something we really want to do right now, but, you know, it's a possibility. Eventually. My opponent is not willing to block. Cool. Well, neither are we, so... I can't imagine that my opponent has too many more lands, right? Because they were in the tank a lot, pretty hard about that Tajuru Stalwart. I could be wrong. They could just have like a handful of white spells. It's also a possibility. Clutch of Currents. Okay, deal. Halimar Tidecaller getting back Clutch of Currents. Respectable. Alright, I can dig it. So we're definitely attacking with McKindy Slide Runner again, because I'd rather not lose to just like flying lands. Alright, so my opponent is interested in Clutch of Currentsing, which is fine, I suppose. With Awaken. No blocks. Yeah, I'm still not blocking. Snapping Gnarlid. Okay. Vestige of Emrakul is big. I like this card. First of all, I think we just attack with the Slide Runner. That's fine. And then we play our Boom Booms. I think we are going to just block with Nettle Drone this turn. My opponent lets us. We're going to block the Halimar Tidecolor though. Because otherwise, like, we have potentially Royal Spouting their Tidecolor, which does not sound fun, actually, though. Otherwise, I could see just Royal Spouting their land. Just, like, plow under ya. With a giant creature attached to it. Yep, Clutch of Currents, you got it. Yeah, we're still blocking. Ideally, we draw, like, a Vile Aggregate. Stone Fury's nice. I like Stone Fury. Now the real question is, do I Royal Spout? I think the answer is yes. Because my opponent doesn't have anything, like, really productive going on. And I'd rather not get beaten down by a 3/3 flyer. And then next turn I can still cast Benthic Infiltrator and Vestige of Emrakul. I think that's the most efficient use of my mana. Yep. Yeah, I think we just play Vestige and Benthic Infiltrator. As opposed to, like, McKindy Slide Runner and Stone Fury, which we can do next turn as well. Groups of 7. Drawing Exert Influence would be sweet. Take it. And that's what I'd do if I drew an Exert Influence too, by the way. Just take it. Jaddy Offshoot. Sure. Ooh. I can attack with all my guys. Play Vestige and Slide Runner? Yeah. I am most certainly doing that. Alright, Jaddy Offshoot. Sure. Cool. I'm kind of slow rolling this Stone Fury for another good reason, which is I want to be able to just remove a blocker and kill them eventually. Like, that's the plan. From Beyond. My opponent's considering whether or not to attack with Cloud Manta, and I don't think they can. Like, assuming they block two of my bigger guys, they take, yeah. Got there. So yeah, that was fun, right? Especially that first game where we didn't draw a third land for like 7 turns. Anyway, not bitter. So we got there with our sweet America Devoid deck. And I'll see you back in just a second for round 2.